Hello everyone, Krydex here. Welcome back to our Nullius playthrough. In our last episode, we were able to establish a nice little mini-mall, which looks like it's only creating 3 buildings, which is distilleries, hydro plants, and electrolyzers. But we also, in the process, are creating tanks and valves and chimneys and outfalls and pumps and furnaces. So there's a lot of benefits that this mall has. It's not the best mall I've ever made, but it should work. And so that will help out as we are establishing things. I'm really wondering, though, if I need another pump maker, because this is really slowing me down. Pipe and iron sheet. So pipes, let's see. We've got lots of options here. Pipes can come up and over. And then we can do this. Put this here. Wait, that's not what I want. I want this. And then this way we can double our pipe output. Ta-da! Something stuck in my throat. But that alone should get us twice as many of these one-way valves. Because that seems to be the biggest slowdown. Because electrolyzers require 4, distilleries require 2, and this guy makes 2.5 a second, so we actually do need 2 of these to keep up anyway. So that works out, and these 2 require 0.25 pipes a second, which we are able to meet, I think. However, an outfall requires both of those. Gosh, and a hydro plant requires a seawater intake and a hydro plant. A hydro plant requires a lot of pipes at the end of the day. I maybe should have done this differently, but it works. And we are still slowly researching. So in today's stream, we are going to work on whatever's next. I don't even know what that is. And then we're going to hop in and do some Spiritfarer towards the end of the stream. Because I'm actually really enjoying that game, and I don't want to just drop it. I don't think that would be good. We definitely are having some gravel issues. So let's get rid of that. Oops. Oh my gosh. We already have 100 stacks of gravel. Okay, so it might be time to begin thinking about what gravel processing can look like. So we can just crush it into mineral dust, and then mineral dust, we need to add a lot of hydrochloric acid. And then that gets us CO2 and sludge. CO2 doesn't have a ton of uses, and it's also very easy to get. It just comes from air, naturally. So I'm not sure if I really need to save any significant amount of CO2. But then that makes us sludge. And sludge can be turned into wastewater. Why would you do that? Maybe if you wanted wastewater, I guess? Mixing it with seawater to make wastewater makes sense. Because you just want to get rid of the sludge. Mixing it with fresh water doesn't make sense, because fresh water is a much more hot commodity. And you can recover some bauxite and iron with sludge. I remember seeing that recipe. That's in the green level, so we're not going to see that for a long time. And limestone recovery, and sand recovery, and stone recovery. So once you get into the green science world, you can reclaim sludge into whatever it is that you want if you mix it with the right acid or whatever. But for a long time, we're basically just going to mix sludge with seawater and get rid of it. So then for every single gravel, let's see, how did this work again? 4 gravel makes 3 mineral dust. And mineral dust has a little bit of usage, I guess, here. And later on, that's a long time from now, in the biology world. Gosh. Got something stuck in my throat. Yeah, I don't feel like there's much of a use. You can get rid of 3 at a time with 8 sulfuric acid. Or 1 at a time with 6 hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid is kind of expensive. You kind of get some as a byproduct of lubricant, but that's not the main thing. And then you can get some from salt and sulfuric acid. I doubt that's the best way. So this is the best way to do it. So hydrogen chloride plus water. That feels crazy. So to get rid of 10,000 gravel, you need a lot. However, what I would like to find out... I can't spend 10 years theory crafting in this game. Guess I gotta start doing something at some point, right? I am gonna grab some motors. So that helps. And then I'm gonna feed this guy a few more. So that we actually have a decent amount of inserters. And then I'm gonna feed this guy a few more. So that we have enough belts. Beautiful. Okay. So in a crusher, how much... So it's 4 to 3. What do they stack to? That's what I'm wondering. It also only stacks to 100. Okay, well, we can at least get rid of it. And unless I missed something, gravel doesn't really have another easy way to void it. Right? It mentioned gravel voiding in 3, which would be this, because 1 is the first 2 colors, 2, 3. So this is tier 3 of science. But that doesn't feel like voiding because it's still making mineral dust. So I don't totally understand that. And we do need a little bit of gravel for pipe 2s. Because that's the only way to make underground pipe 2s. And pipe 2s are actually really important. Because I discovered on the Discord that... Actually, this can be right here. What am I doing? I don't remember why that was even there, but it's definitely going to be for pipe 2s. Oh no, wait, I can't use that recipe yet? What's going on here? FNEI, I changed to tab, that's right. Okay, pipe 2. Oh, it's just made in a foundry. Okay, I was scared for a second. In any case, I discovered that the pipe 1s that I have, their flow rate really decreases over distance because of that 40% pressure. What's interesting is the mod maker, Anachrony, not totally sure how to pronounce it, he was mentioning that the vanilla pipes are actually only at 50% pressure. And so it's kind of crazy to me that only that 10% pressure differential reduces the flow rate so much over long distances. Like we're talking like 100 plus pipes is when these pipe 1s really start to slow down. And I also wonder if it has to do a little bit with the increased amount, because they hold 120 instead of 100. And I think that also might slow them down over long distances compared to vanilla pipes. Like if there were 40% pressure pipes, but they could only hold 100, I'm curious what the flow rate would be there. It doesn't really matter, but you know, I get curious about these things. And then we are going to make underground pipes as well, but we need gravel. Those stack to 100. And so we do need a significant amount of gravel coming in here. Thankfully, we have a significant amount of gravel. So that alone will supply 500. Is that right? No, more than 500 underground pipes. So eventually I'm going to have some sort of system that takes gravel and stores some of it, but gets rid of the rest of it. Does gravel have any other uses other than... Oops. Other than underground pipes? Concrete and rails. That's it. So it looked like there was 2 rail recipes. There's this one, which I've already researched. And then there's this one, which is another recipe for rails. That uses wood. Ooh, we can get wood eventually. That's fun. But in any case, this should work. That makes about a little bit less than 1 pipe per second, which should be enough eventually. 1 rod makes 1.5 pipes, so we should be okay there. All right, and I also asked the question of, what about this, what's the next color of science? Purple science. Should I, because, you know, I've been kind of playing around with this in HellMod to make like 0.5 of each science per second. And I think this is a bit too fancy. And there's a lot of upgrades we're going to get in the purple science tier as well. And this tier still isn't too crazy or complicated. So I think I should spend a little bit more time spaghettiing my way through the purple tier. And then we can begin work on kind of more official stuff. We are going to need insulated wire, logic circuit, lamp, and capacitor, all of which are things we don't have yet. So that's fun. 3 of those things come from this, which require graphite. Oh my god. Whew. It's definitely complicated. I think what I'm going to start with is just, what are they called? Sample electronic electrical prototype. Okay, so we're gonna go with like 0.3 a second. Is that too much? 0.3 a second. No, I think I can live with 0.2 even. 1 every 5 seconds. So every minute is 12 packs. Yeah, that seems like plenty. At least for this, for now. Copper we definitely don't have, so we'll go with that route. Or insulated wire. Logic circuit. Graphite, plastic, aluminum wire, polycrystalline silicon. Lamps. Graphite, iron sheet, glass. And capacitor. Graphite, plastic, aluminum sheet. So most of these things we actually are somewhat familiar with. What is alumina, though? That comes from aluminum hydroxide. Oh, exactly the same as angels. I assume that's because it's a real chemical process. Aluminum carbide? Surely we don't have that available. Oh. What? Hold on. I don't even remember researching half this stuff. Aluminum. Okay, what did I research? Aluminum production was the first thing I researched. And that got me a couple options. Crushed bauxite and caustic solution gets me aluminum hydroxide. Aluminum hydroxide gets me alumina. And alumina and graphite gets me aluminum ingots and aluminum carbide. But then aluminum carbide and water gets mixed back together to make aluminum hydroxide. So there's a little bit of a loop on the back end there. So we have to start with this, and then we make aluminum hydroxide that makes alumina, and then the alumina gets mixed with graphite. We get some ingots, but we get carbide back, which then turns into more hydroxide, which turns into more or less alumina, and then that gets mixed with graphite, and we have a loop. So I'll have to check out the loop, but that is how it works. So what's interesting is the capacitors actually require some alumina by themselves, though. So we actually need to supply alumina. Excuse me. Alumina as well as the aluminum plates and rods. So we'll boil the aluminum stuff down to just ingots. And then, heck, let's make a new thing for the ingots, and then we will also, does that not work? It should link. Oh, alumina is not in the list. Let me take that out. There we go. So now we should be able to do this. Matrix solver. There we go. That gives me some more clarity. Wait, that didn't matrix solve though. We still have an output of aluminum carbide. Which, if I'm not mistaken, nobody else was asking for. Huh. Why on earth? Something's weird. Okay, maybe I should just put this one as like 100. 1 point. Can I do math here? 1.8 out of 1.7? No, I can't. It's frustrating. 105%. Oh. When you're in Matrix Solver, it won't let you change percentages. 0.1 should be 6 a minute, so 106, something like that. What is going on? Oh, the outflow there is 0.1 per minute. So, is my rounding off here? Oh, I forgot to change this. That's why I'm so confused. I'm used to it rounding to 2 decimals, so 0.1 actually means there is something there. When you go to 2 decimals, then you'll see 0.01. That means it's basically nothing. But 0.1 is significant when it's rounding to 2 decimals. So that's what I thought was happening. That's much better. Okay, so this is working properly. So this is how we make, but we need caustic solution. Oh, that's easy to make. And we need more graphite. How is graphite made again? Carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Let's make a little graphite factory. I feel like I see graphite show up in a lot of places. We are just gonna go for it. So graphite, we're gonna go for like 4 per second and see where that gets us. Shoot, we also need to work on power. So many things to do. Okay, carbon monoxide comes from CO2 and hydrogen. Hydrogen. Gosh, I have to figure out the right ways to brine things. So brine is 4 times as much sodium hydroxide per unit. It is a lot less hydrogen. 40 to 110 is about 1 to 3. This is about 1 to 1.4. So you have half as much hydrogen. And then saline water obviously has oxygen in it still, but not as much. And then chlorine-wise, we're going from 30 to 42, which I already said was 1.4. Gosh, sorry, my brain's not working fast tonight. And this is 40 to 14, which is a third. So you get 3 times as much sodium hydroxide, 3 times as much chlorine. So 30 brine should be equivalent to the salt amount of 120 saline water. So if I look at saline water, I get nothing. That is because that's Angel's saline water. What is it actually called? I wonder what it's actually called. Nullius dash water, Nullius dash freshwater, Nullius dash seawater. So I assume it's salt water. No, what is it? Saline water? Nullius dash... Who actually knows? I don't know at this point. It is called Nullius dash saline. I see. Okay, so 125 goes down to 30 brine. So it is 4 times the salt amount, because all of the salt from 125 saline water is condensed down. We lose 5 water in that process, but it's not, you know, 5 is a small percentage that we can just ignore. And then we get 90 fresh water, which then can be used for lots of things, which is nice. Even boiled into steam with a heat exchanger. Or mixed with hydrogen chloride to make hydrochloric acid. In hydrogen chloride, you can also just mix hydrogen and chlorine. We get it as a byproduct of plastic. And didn't I see another recipe? I guess I didn't. What could the sodium hydroxide be used for? I swear there was a use for that. Oh, it was the caustic solution. That's right. Oh. Man. Sodium hydroxide. Water, oxygen. Hydroxide. That actually makes sense. There's so many steps to this. So do we end up with the same amount of hydrogen, I guess? We've seen that the chlorine and sodium hydroxide is similar. So 125 is going to get me 42 hydrogen. And then water electrolysis turns into this. 90 is going to turn into, that's a lot, 280 hydrogen. So 280 plus 42 is 332 hydrogen from these. Whereas saline water, what did I say? 322. So 125 saline water would make 330. Okay. 45 oxygen, that would be tripled to 90, 135 oxygen. Whereas this comes out to be 140. But the extra 5 units would make up for that. Okay, so it's slightly, ever so slightly more efficient. And it takes 1 second in an electrolyzer. I guess that's the biggest deal. So splitting into water and brine is only helpful in as much as it gives you fresh water, which is much easier to work with. And fresh water is an ingredient for a lot of various things, but I was just kind of seeing, do all the numbers work out? And the balance so far in this game has been very good. The numbers work out the way you'd think they will. So I'm just going to go with a freshwater based build because I think that's way simpler for my brain. So then we need some air filters. And for the water, I'm just going to have to make a water pipeline. And then we get oxygen output and nitrogen output. So I think I might switch this like 3 per second because this is pretty hefty. And then the other thing I'm going to do is create a surge electrolysis. I can make surge electrolyzers, which is what I want. And that will, what is this? This is dealing with regular water. No, fresh water, sorry. There we go. So what we want is the brine. Okay, so wastewater can go back from whence it came to the ocean. Connect that up. And then we'll want to do something valuable with the brine. But wastewater, I don't think I can do anything fancy with that, right? No. Not for a long time. Oh, I can turn that back into saline water eventually? Now that's a big deal. Turning wastewater into saline water is a big deal, because I get wastewater from all sorts of things. And then I can just desalinate the saline water and then get fresh water back at a fairly low power cost from wastewater. But most of the power cost is in electrolysis in the first place, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But in any case, the brine can be electrolyzed as well. And that gets us chlorine, hydrogen, and sodium hydroxide. And what can I do with chlorine again? Chlorine. Oh, I can make that into hydrogen chloride if I want. I see. I also just need it for various things. But that's... Oof, that's really all I can do. And I really just want that hydrogen. So I don't want to make hydrogen chloride with it. So for now... And I can't vent chlorine either. Right? It won't let me vent chlorine. Will it let me vent hydrogen chloride? Here, let me make another chimney and find out. Because then I'm just making sodium hydroxide out of brine. And, of course, it's not called that. What is it called? No, is it Nullius? Sodium, no. Hydroxide, I don't even know what it would be called. Hydrogen chloride, it can make hydrochloric acid. which can then be mixed with caustic solution to turn back into saline water. Is that the only way I can truly... Oh, these don't all need to be connected. This one needs to be connected to that. Wow. Yeah, that's the only way I can really get rid of chlorine, as far as I can tell. We can split it back into hydrogen and chlorine. But we mix it with water. We mix that with caustic solution, which is sodium hydroxide mixed with water, and then that makes saline water again. Interesting. So 40 water makes 40 of that. 80 water makes 100 of that. So 100 water plus 80 water. Now, do these numbers match up? 35 to make 40. So we need 2.5 times 35. What even is that? Compared to 3 sodium hydroxide. Well, 3 sodium hydroxide matches exactly 42 hydrogen chloride, which is only going to be an extra fifth, so that's 48 hydrochloric acid. So we actually only get half as much sodium hydroxide as I need to neutralize the hydrochloric acid. And then we get 120 saline water back, which then loops back around to make 3 sodium hydroxide, but not enough chlorine. So we actually end up with not enough hydrochloric acid. But caustic solution can just be dumped as well. That's right. Okay, so I need a hydro plant for that. I need a chemical plant for that. Oh no, I'm a dummy. It is perfect. 42. Beautiful. 42 is exactly 1.2 times 35. What I wasn't seeing is that hydrogen and chlorine add together to make hydrogen chloride. So 42 and 42 is going to make 84. And 84, believe it or not, if you multiply it by 1.2, works out to 100.8. So the numbers work out almost exactly. Although it kind of worries me that they don't work out exactly right, because what's that going to end up doing in the long term? But what we can do is do this. Let's see, how do we want this arranged? Maybe like this? I can actually just move that. There we go. So that's making hydrogen chloride. And then this one... Oh my gosh, I'm out of ingredients. Really? I thought I had everything. The man who has everything. I can also make medium tank 2s, which I very much want to do. First of all, out with the old. Where my pipes at? In with the new. Although pipe 1s are in all sorts of things, so that's a slight difficulty, is I actually need to keep these for crafting purposes. But in any case, we have pipe 2s now, which is great. And these need steel sheets, so I need to be carrying around some steel with me. So let's make sure we got all the steel things. And then I can make some tank 2s and some small tanks. So small tanks hold up to 10K, but they're smaller. I'll make a few of those, and I'll make a few medium tanks, which store twice as much, and a little bit higher pressure too, which currently doesn't matter, but could matter. Oh gosh, this episode is a failure for accomplishing anything, but hopefully you guys are enjoying this process as much as I am. Figuring everything out. What am I missing? Wait, a chemical plant needs glass? Wow, I did not ever notice that. Jeez. Can I make the new chests? I can once I have rubber. Okay. Wow, we have a lot going on. So step 1 is grabbing some filters, which I don't have. Step 1 is giving... Gosh. Giving everything I have to the filter maker. Then the actual step is grabbing plastic that I don't have. Yep, because this thing stalled out on the hydrogen. Chloride. Oh no, there's so many fluids and so many priorities and so much spaghetti. We did finish the purple science. When do I get advanced fluid handling? Advanced fluid handling 1 is here. Gated behind 240, another 100. Okay. So about 300 or 400 purple science. And then I can get... Also, it's weird that yellow is the last tier. It goes red, blue, yellow. Isn't yellow normally the first tier? But I guess that sort of makes sense. So this will allow adjustable relief valve, which is awesome. All of our different underground extenders and junctions, and then the twistable surface junctions. And this starts at up to 60% pressure, so that's equivalent to the pipe 2s. These are equivalent to the pipe 3s. Ooh, with a length of 19 as well. And then these have a length of 23 up to 100% pressure, which is awesome. What are these a length of? 15. Okay. And the old pipes are a length of 14. Sweet. Okay, so these pipes are going to allow for a lot more throughput anyway. Even more than vanilla. But we're going to have to wait for all this. Oh, and I need glass. Did I ever process how to get glass? Is that silica in a foundry? It sure is. Let's do that. Let's make some glass. Because we've got plenty of silica. Ooh, look at all these refractory bricks. Might as well grab all the crucibles. We got plenty of silica. Wow, that makes glass very slowly. Only about 3 per minute. Oh my gosh. Crafting speeds are not super high. So something I wanted to do in this episode, but I haven't even gotten to start such a thing yet, was a big steam tank kind of battery system mixed with backup turbines. That's 10 more. I already have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we'll do 20 backup turbines total. Still need some filters. All right. I have plenty of nitrogen. So I'm definitely wasting some things, I'm sure. The good news is I'm not wasting any hydrogen. As far as I'm aware, all of my water is getting electrolyzed, all of my hydrogen's being used, and those are the only backup points. I am venting excess oxygen. I do have an insane amount of hydrogen chloride right here. Basically, what I'm doing in the new system is what I need to do here, which is turn this into caustic solution by mixing it with water and then get rid of that. Now, the other thing I didn't check out with the numbers, you guys might be groaning, oh, Krydax, why do you have to care about the numbers? But if you're like me, you do care about the numbers. Is do I get enough water from saline electrolysis in the first place to get rid of all of this? Because 120 saline water turns into 3 sodium hydroxide, which then turns into... Crap. I clicked on the wrong thing. 100 caustic solution. And 100 caustic solution disappears with the hydrochloric acid into saline water. And then that saline water splits again into... I'm looking at the wrong recipe, that's why I'm confused. You can also make steam out of it. Oh, I don't have heat exchangers yet, but you can boil saline water. That looks like a good way to use it. Get some power out of it. But anyway, 120 saline water makes roughly 30 brine, which, roughly speaking, turns back... Crap. I might have just realized this is bad. Gosh, this game, everything equals out in the end. So I need 80 fresh water there, and then here, I need... $80. Oh, wow. I actually need like 160-ish fresh water to make this, which then just gets me back 120 saline water. So I'm missing something. If you've played Nullius before and you're watching this, leave me a comment in the description, because I'm clearly missing... How do you get rid of all this sodium hydroxide and chlorine? Because this is what I thought it was. Hydrochloric neutralization was the way to get rid of it. But this costs so much fresh water that to get that fresh water, you end up making more brine, which then that has to be... Oh. Say no more. Oh, I feel so dumb. You can just get rid of brine. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Raw. However, that does still beg the question of getting rid of sodium hydroxide. It is easy to get rid of brine, however, so that's good to know. I can literally just vent it. I thought this was going to net me things, but it costs more fresh water than it gives back. So that's a useless... we should just vent the extra brine. So we just need an auxiliary valve. And we'll just get rid of it. But I still am begging the question, how do I get rid of hydrogen chloride? And that one I don't know the answer to. Okay. So this tells me I can take brine. Brine, saline water, seawater, freshwater, wastewater. And caustic solution. Okay, there we go. But 3 sodium hydroxide and 80 water. Am I not going to create 3 sodium hydroxide by making 80 water in the first place? So that feels like that's actually not a way to get rid of sodium hydroxide. Maybe this is the way to do it. Once we're in green science... This says void in 1, but I feel like it's kind of lying to you. Sodium sulfate definitely gets rid of some of it. And then sodium sulfate... I don't know, maybe you just turn that into gypsum, and then turn gypsum into lime, and then turn lime into, I don't know, gypsum. There you go, you got your infinite loop that gets rid of things. But in any case, I feel like... Oh yeah, I was going to do the math here real quick. So 3 sodium hydroxide can just be then vented, but we need 80 water. To get 80 water, we needed roughly 115-ish saline water, which gets me roughly 27 brine. Oops. Which then doesn't have to be turned. Right, I can just make water, get rid of brine. Make water, get rid of brine. So I can just make water at the cost of electricity. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. So it's only when I have to make chlorine and not use sodium hydroxide that then I have extra sodium hydroxide, which then I can mix with water, which is free to make, and then that can be sent as caustic solution. So I don't actually have to do this hydrochloric acid stuff. Now chlorine... So chlorine, I really should only be making on demand anyway. So if I'm making... Guys, I'm sorry if this is bothering you. I've barely been playing the game at all this episode, but we're figuring things out, and that's, to me, that's part of the fun of the game. So I hope you enjoy it. If you don't, well, sorry this wasn't your favorite episode. But what we're learning is that chlorine should be made on demand. And sodium hydroxide, even less so. I mean, there's only a couple places it gets used. Caustic solution, it looks like we use that to get some extra plates in a couple places. But generally I'll just be getting rid of it. And so sodium hydroxide, we'll want to probably... I forget. Were there any recipes? Yeah, it's used in a few places. So we'll want to like keep a chest of sodium hydroxide. The excess from that will all be turned into caustic solution. We'll keep a couple tanks of that. And then the excess from that just gets dumped into the ocean. Ta-da! Okay. So, what we want to do here... I'm going to grab a couple distilleries and hydro plants. And before the end of this episode, we are going to actually do something. And this is extra hydrogen chloride. Oh, this one's a little different, because we make the chlorine on demand, but then we get hydrogen chloride extra from making plastic. And then hydrogen chloride, sorry, I just gotta remember myself. I mix that with water to make HCl. I mix caustic with water, or I mix hydrogen, sodium hydroxide with water. So if I mix these two things with water, this and this, I can turn that back into saline water and then electrolyze that into fresh water to get some of that fresh water back, dump the brine. Wow, that is fancy. A lot of fancy stuff, and gravel's building up everywhere. My base is a complete nightmare. This is not even running for some indeterminate reason that I don't understand, because I don't have plastic, because all the plastic's going to making filters. because all the filters apparently have been going to making electrolyzers and distilleries. The good news is I have 20 distilleries and 5 electrolyzers and 12 hydro plants. So that's all worked out, but we definitely have a bit of a plastic shortage. And I think this guy's working as fast as he can. But what I'd like to do... Okay, we're just gonna disconnect that. So hydro plants, I'll just set a few up here. Start with 4. That's not the recipe I want. So we'll start with seawater. Gotta do old style pipes because we don't have advanced fluid handling. Now these all require 400 per second. So we're gonna need 1, 2, oh no. Now what? What am I missing? Filters, right. I already knew that. Let me grab some. 50 filters, all for me. Okay. Seawater intakes, oh my gosh. Very expensive, actually. Okay, so this lake is annoyingly shaped. But that should be 4. Is that? Yeah, that's fine. And that will get me all the seawater I need. Okay, so then... Gotta connect all these up. Okay, for now, wastewater just gonna flow on out. I'll have it pass through a tank first. Up to 90. Oh, but that's only up to 60. Also, this is a question for anyone that knows as well. What about the output of a building? Is that 100% pressure by default? Or is it something else? So what we really want are the auxiliary valve. Yes. It's relief valve, that's over 75. Auxiliary is over 25, so that works fine with any pipes. And then this is the same wastewater as this. What's the crafting rate? Don't actually know. Okay, so hooked up the wastewater management. So then we've got a lot of saline water. Now saline water gets distilled. How many distilleries? Nobody knows. So we got 280 per second and 250 per second. So we do need 3 of these. My guess was correct. And we'll just connect that up like so. And we got brine, fresh water. Now the brine we've learned, unless I need chlorine or sodium hydroxide, the brine is just a mess. It is just a mess and a headache. So what we'll do is we'll have another kind of, hey, we're supplying brine, but then we will have an auxiliary valve out. And I never actually hooked that up. And then this can join up with this one. total brine output would max out at 90. Looks like these can handle 100 a second, so it's not perfect. So I assume this maxes out at more than 10. So we could have a tiny bit of a stall out with brine, but it's not going to be too bad. Beautiful. Okay, so these are running, and that gets me fresh water. And honestly, I'm going to need this set up in more places than one, because I need fresh water all over the place. When do I get water fill? That's the other question. Okay, we get a water well in the purple world. And other than pumps 2, I can make all of that. Pumps 2, motor 2, and rubber, and motor 2 just is some of the things we've already seen. Okay, good. So I'm not too far from having wells. Also, what do wells produce? Pumps groundwater. Oh no, now we have another type of water? Nullius groundwater. Now I'm curious just what type of water wells produce. Groundwater doesn't return anything. Water, offshore pump, groundwater bore. That's not it. Might just have to ask on the Discord. These are really hard to find. Oh, there it is. What? A well just makes fresh water? Are you serious? Oh my gosh, that's gonna completely change my world. That's really it? A well just makes fresh water? I guess it is the freshwater symbol here. Oh yeah, there it is right there. Freshwater, made in well. Wait. My brain keeps breaking. Freshwater is not the same as water. Freshwater still needs to be filtered in a hydro plant. However, freshwater is much better than seawater in that it doesn't have all those salty things to get rid of, and it doesn't require 2 steps. And the biggest part is it doesn't require electrolysis to get to be regular water. Oh, neither does this. This is just distilling. Alright. Never mind. The electrolysis is required to break it into hydrogen and oxygen. That's what this is all about. So now I will finish this, and then we will jump into some... What's it called? Right, fair. Okay, so now we need to break this up to 270, which is 6 electrolyzers worth. Okay. That's a bit intense. Okay. Let me copy this. Bam, bam, bam. Okay. So now we get plenty of... Oh, power. There we go. It's like, I know I have power. So that'll break apart what we need. And then hydrogen and oxygen are combusted into steam. Now, combustion chamber can handle 120 and 60. All of these put together can handle 270, which is... These need 375. So maybe I should actually just throw another hydro plant to make these numbers match up better. There we go, 350. So that'll get the hydro plant part a little bit closer to what these can handle, which is closer to what those can handle. And then 840 and 420. We should be able to handle that all on one network. Now the problem is we need to do something like this. Now because they're tier 2 pipes, they can handle this. Okay, so we got that for oxygen. And then how many of these do I need? 4, let's go with the 420. So 420 is 60 times 7. 7 machines. The ratio is exactly 7 to 6. How random is that, and how lucky did I get? 6 combustion chambers. 120 times 6. 600 plus an extra 120. No. 20 times 6 is 120. Can I not do math? 6 times 5, 6 times 7. Why am I struggling so much? Yeah, these can take in 60, while these produce 70. So these 6 are producing 70 each. So I need 7 of these. 7 times 120. That's what I was doing wrong in the math. 7 times 120 is 840. Okay, so I need 7 combustion chambers. Holy cow. Wow, that was... Sorry, guys. That was way more difficult than it should have been. The other question is, how the heck do I arrange these? Because... So I'm interested, the amount of oxygen differs depending on what you're doing. Like how much oxygen per steam. Because I can't do that, because then it switches, you know. So I was thinking I could like connect it that way, but then this is not the oxygen. So we kind of need to just keep them all the same way. Like that. And then have the oxygen connected here. But then at that point, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then at that point, feels like we shouldn't have 2 entire rows for hydrogen. When we could just have it come out here, connect back around that way. That feels more efficient. So those are going to be in the way. And of course, one of them is going to line up, because these are different side. Yep, this one lines up right here. I guess I can go to the side here, so that's good. Okay, connect these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. pipes. Oh my gosh, ran out of pipes. That's always a good problem. Means we're doing things. Means we're doing things. Okay, grab some more undies. And then regular pipes. Okay, I do want to make sure my plastic is still running. It is. Because plastic shortage was a big problem we just had. Don't want that to repeat. Okay, so then this comes up here. Connects back. Guess I can save myself a few pipes there. And then we've got all of our steam pipes here. These are just weird. The way that they're shaped and the way the inputs are, the way that steam doesn't come out both ends. Or does it? Oh my god, it does. Why is there no steam symbol right there? I just assumed it didn't come out both ends. So I don't need this many. I can do this many. Oh, wait. What was it? 2, 4, 6, 7 is on its own. Okay. So I can do this. That's a little better. Okay. Now steam is 8 kilojoules per. A medium tank. Hey, Miss Jide, how you doing? How's it going? How you going? And so we can fill a medium tank with up to 30,000 times 8, so 240 megajoules. Is that right? Because this is 8 times 30 is 240. Yeah. So, I do need a pump though. Also, what's the output rate here? The output rate is 14,000. That's actually too much for this pipe network to handle, I think. So, I'm going to separate these 3 and these 4. Right here. This old stuff I'm going to tear down. I need these parts back anyway. This was just an experiment to make something much greater that we have now. Okay, so I'll take all this down. Is this still powered? Yeah. Okay, so then I need 2 pumps. And then that will fill a tank network. We'll start with 3. So those can produce 600, these can produce 800. And as far as turbines, get rid of those. So the rate here is a maximum of 600. Well, you know what I should do is put 4 so that it's symmetrical in a sense. And each of these can produce 200 steam. These can use, what was it, 125 steam? So that's 1.6. So if there's 3 of these, that's 4.8 of these that it can run. But this is for backup power, so I want more backup. than just the amount that it can produce constantly. Okay, so we got those ready, and then we'll hook these up. Of course, there's a million rocks in the way of these. I know these won't burn exactly the same, but it's close enough. Alright. So there we go. That should help a lot with my power surges. Even though it's not power efficient, it will use the extra solar power I have. So this is essentially like accumulators, is all I just set up. Is a complicated accumulator system that will store steam power, and then each one of these tanks can hold, I said 240 megajoules. I've got 7 of them, so that holds a lot more than my accumulators, which altogether hold less than 1 tank. However, this is not a perfectly efficient system. I'm curious, I feel like I had brine stuff happening before. Didn't I? No. Yeah, we figured out that to set up 1 megawatt, you need 1.3 megawatts. Which is not great. And let's actually multiply that by 10 so we get more decimals. Yeah. So to get 10 megawatts, you need 12.2 megawatts of power. And we actually lose more efficiency, I forgot, because these are only 90% efficiency. So divided by 0.9. So to get a full 10 megawatts of power, you actually need 13.5 megawatts. All that being said, you know, you're storing power at a much higher volume than you were with accumulators. And we can't even build more accumulators yet anyway. So that feels good. We understand a lot more about salt water. And so I believe I will title this one, The One with the Handmade Accumulators. And I'm going to pop into here and take a clipping picture real quick. And that will be used later. I'm going to potentially try changing the background from time to time of my YouTube thumbnails. Because, I don't know, I've kind of not done that at all, and I kind of want to try it out just for fun. So, I have to figure out the best way to do that, though. I guess I'll just paste that in there. Okay. Sweet. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. Again, sorry that a lot of it was used up for planning and other things. But I am going to play some Spiritfarer, so if you're interested in that, stick around on Twitch. And if you're on YouTube, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you all next time.